Sex is the life force energy that runs through us all. Can you use sexual energy for your spiritual evolution? Or perhaps for emotional healing? Is it even possible? Clinical sexologist Dr. Martha Tarlee will explore all these and more on Eros Evolution on OMTimes Radio.
Hi, welcome to the show Eros Evolution. I'm Jory, and I'll be hosting the show today for Martha Lee. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm actually calling in from Malaysia today, where the time is 4 a.m. So I'm sipping my coffee as we speak, hoping to stay awake for you all. Just a little bit about today's show. I'm super excited to be sharing my knowledge with you. We're going to talk about topics like how to flatten your lower abdominals, how good posture can help flatten your tummy, and also relieve pain and prevent injury. I want to talk to you also about how to get motivated to exercise at home without a workout buddy, and why we need to rehabilitate properly as women after giving birth and not jump straight into doing, a normal exercise. So I am not always the best about talking about myself, but I've had a few of my followers say I need to make sure I introduce myself and give you a little bit of background about me. So I'm an internationally certified instructor, a Pilates instructor, and I have about over 13 years teaching experience, and I help busy people fit Pilates and movement into their everyday life. This is my passion. And I specialize in women's fitness, specifically pre- and postnatal exercise and rehab. I also teach guys, so not just the women, and I actually have a regular committed group of guys that love their Pilates, and it's lots of fun teaching guys. They tend to moan and groan a little bit more than the girls when I give them a tough exercise. So as instructors, that's always fun, listening to people's reaction. So I have many certifications, probably too many to mention today. In fact, I'm always learning and going on courses so much that my family call me the course junkie. They always like me to reduce my spend on my courses, but I just try and reiterate that I need to stay on top of the industry knowledge. So it's always important to stay ahead of the game when you're in our industry. The body is something that's being researched all the time. So, new information is always coming out. And that's related to food as well. The two industries are forever changing. So a little bit about my journey. I started actually practicing Pilates over 16 years ago. I wanted to find out what all the celebrities were doing. I was intrigued to know what this new form of exercise was. And I immediately got hooked. I loved it. I loved the way it made me feel during and after class. I was challenged, but I was also relaxed. If you've tried Pilates, you'll know that feeling. I especially loved the fact that I could exercise lying down. That was probably my favorite part. I'm not I wouldn't say I love exercise. And I've always found things that I've loved to do. So I really never really or stuck at things that I've loved to do. So it's never felt like a chore. I started dancing from the age of 5 and horse riding and doing different sports. And I stayed active later in life doing things like swimming, walking, and kickboxing classes, pump classes. I even tried yoga, and nothing really stuck though for me. It wasn't until Pilates came along. So that was my, the gold nugget for me. So I'd attend sometimes 3 or 4 times a week when I first started. I was addicted, and I loved it. It'd even go on Friday night after work. At that time when I first started, I was working in corporate. So yeah, it was something that just made me feel good. And I think the best thing about it was that it was conscious movement. I'd never experienced that before. I mean, I'd tried yoga, but for me at that time, that was a little bit too spiritual. I think you have to be ready for yoga. So that I'm getting into a bit more now, obviously, as I'm getting older. So, yeah, I was super inspired by the teachers. After practicing for a few years, I decided to become an instructor. I had some amazing teachers, and I got my international certification and began teaching. My experience was in gyms, in small studios, teaching group, one-on-one, small groups. I worked a lot with physios and osteos and chiros and even acupuncturists. So I worked alongside them and with them to help rehabilitate clients. And it was brilliant because it gave me a different approach to the body and how, there are so many different ways that we can heal the body. So I also learned about the emotional connection to the body and how the importance of positive reinforcement is when we're healing. I'm going to talk a lot about this sort of thing today, about injury, about healing, about why the body needs to have good posture for healing. But I just want to talk to you about a couple of standout moments for me, I guess, in my life. I've had quite a few injuries because I've been so active, starting from a young age. And I remember some of my personal experiences where I was told negative things about my body and what potentially may happen and about my life. And also negative things, these were from professionals. So, for example, one person said from an old injury I had that carried right through was a wrist injury, and it was from when I was 16, and it actually was giving me a lot of pain at one stage later in life. And I was told that by this surgeon, if I didn't stop using it and treat it like a vintage car, that I won't be able to wipe my own bottom when I'm older, and that he'll have to fuse it. And he pulled out this big rod from his desk and showed me what this big steel plate he was going to put in my wrist. And he spent 2 hours telling me about this future, what was going to happen to me. And I was, just obviously devastated. And I also, it was a time when I was teaching Pilates, and I was like, this is crazy. How am I going to be able to teach? And a few of my colleagues will know this story. But I searched for an opinion that wasn't going to support that, obviously. I was on the lookout for something that, was going to fit what I wanted in my life. And I found a great mentor of mine to chat to. And he said, if you don't move it, you lose it. And he was right. If I had have kept on that path of treating the wrist like a vintage car and just protecting it and not using it, I wouldn't really have much of a wrist there today. So I've definitely taken this advice on throughout my life. And I've got another couple of examples like that, but along the same lines. And this is especially true, this statement, if you don't move it, you lose it. It's so true when it comes to injury. And a lot of us find that we protect our injuries, that we avoid movement. And I've done it too. We get scared, we don't know what to do. And there's so much different conflicting information out there on what we should and shouldn't do with an injury anyway. So it's very hard and challenging, to know what is the right advice. But my advice is to seek the advice that you think is correct for you. This is what I did. I wasn't going to listen at all to this advice of not moving my wrist. I was like, that's not going to be possible for me. I'm a movement teacher. How can I not move it? So yeah, it's super vital that you take on board only what you think is correct information. Some of the information I was given was even by a physio at one point saying for something else that happened, I won't be able to teach Pilates again. And that's it's just crazy, So if you instill this information into someone's head, they can run with that. So, yeah, for me, this is a huge topic. People have to stay positive and believe that, they can heal. So, luckily I've recovered from all my injuries, and I'm fine and pain-free today, which is amazing, except for something I'm healing from now, a knee injury. That's another topic. We'll get onto that one later. Now, it's through these years that I've had these, experiences with injuries, with rehabilitation, and, the emotional connection to healing, and how the body compensates that, really got me to stick with Pilates, and this industry is, it's amazing for continuing to learn. So, I've always loved helping people relieve their pain, and teaching them to become aware of their own body so that they can learn to manage their injuries themselves and or heal themselves. I believe in empowering my clients to, know what they need to do for their body. And on that note, I think we all need to take our health into our own hands and learn, what feels right for our own body. Not give the power away to others to fix us, because ultimately we have that power for ourselves. I'm sure there's times when we need doctors and we need others to help us, but I think we really must learn how to make sure that we tune into what's right and wrong for us. Only we innately know, what's right or wrong for our own body. So there's a great expression: you can heal yourself in 7 days, or you can get better by seeing the doctor in 1 week. Oh, I think we're going to break, guys, so I'll chat to you in a moment.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to The Astrology Show for guidance. Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit rain.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Emma Jory and I'm hosting the show today, Eros Evolution, for Martha Lee. Before the break, we were just chatting about a little bit about my background, and I went on my usual little rant of injuries and what we can do to help heal our body. I'm a Pilates instructor and I specialize in women's health. And before the break, I was mentioning how, you can seek out other advice and opinions to help fix your body or help heal you. But at the end of the day, you innately know what's right for your body. And my advice is always, to make sure you go with your gut feeling on any advice given. Sometimes the advice out there is not always the best, okay? You have to seek out, some good things that fit for you. And just one thing I was saying before the break, sometimes this is very relevant. You can go see a doctor and be better and get medication, be better in 7 days, or heal yourself in 1 week. Sometimes this little theory can be related to. Obviously, it's not always the case. Sometimes we do need to see our doctors, but you know what I'm saying. So, and on that note, I think we're just too quick to seek quick pain relief, and we're not able to give the body time to heal often enough. So, I've loved always helping people and educating people. Just to finish a little bit about my background, that I decided to create my own space where I could share my knowledge. And that was when Pilates Lounge was born in Australia, in Sydney. It was a highly regarded boutique studio. I sold that studio to move to Malaysia to be with my husband. And then since then, I've decided to put my studio online. This time, streaming live videos and creating videos for people to watch in their own home. And if you're ever interested, you can go to ePilatesonline.com to find out about my online business. I decided to move into the online space because I know so many people need help, and I couldn't reach enough people. I was always being called upon and booked out, and I know that, everyone needs this Pilates knowledge. And so my instructing experience varies from teaching family to known celebrities, from 13-year-olds to 80-year-olds. And that's the beauty of Pilates. It's great for everyone. It can be modified when needed. My passion for women's health was really due to the satisfaction I get if I see a mum find her abdominal connection again after childbirth. It's an amazing feeling. Mums really need the help and the guidance after giving birth, and I believe that more people need educating around this area and the do's and don'ts of exercise during pregnancy and also after childbirth. It's a critical time for a mum to look after her body, and we'll talk more about this later. I want to really be part of the education process for women, around this area. What I love about Pilates is and why it's kept me interested for so long is that, like I mentioned before, you never stop learning. You learn about your own body, and then, you can translate that and help others learn about their body too. It's a wonderful job. I'm very lucky. And for those of you who don't know much about Pilates, it's a system of exercises that improve your strength and flexibility. You develop a control and endurance of your body, different to every other form of exercise. And Pilates emphasizes alignment, breathing, developing a strong core, improving your coordination, and also balance. And it was developed by Joseph Pilates, who was born in 1883 and born in Germany. He was originally a gymnast and bodybuilder, and later in life became a personal trainer, professional boxer, and self-defense trainer to police schools. I believe he also studied yoga. In World War I, he was actually interned, where he trained a lot of the others who were interned with him, and came up with the system, what we call now Pilates. At the time, it was called Contrology. And then after World War I, he collaborated with dance experts, and physios to refine the program even more. He opened a studio in America, and so moved from his previous locations. And his focus on Pilates was really a mind-body connection, core work, and he focused a lot on the posture muscles that help keep the body balanced, which we'll talk more about today, and provides support to the spine. So this is really his key, focus. The Pilates method became popular with professional dancers for rehabilitation and prevention of injury. And then it was later that celebrities obviously, found out about Pilates. And now we're lucky enough to have it mainstream and available to all of us. So let's begin by talking about the core. What is the core? Most people think it's just the abdominal muscles, but it's actually your trunk, really. So that can be referenced sometimes from the neck, kind of right down to the pelvic floor, pubic bone or bottom area. So it consists of the lower abdominals, the lower back, the hips, the glutes, inner thighs, and like I mentioned, sometimes people even talk about it up to the neck area. So when I describe the core, I like to always give the analogy of a tree. And imagine a tree trunk. So ideally, we want that trunk to be strong. When the wind blows, the branches just blow in the wind, the trunk can sway, but it doesn't fall, and it's solid. Our core is the same, really. We need a strong core to stay strong and stand tall and stable. And then, our limbs are like the branches. They can move freely from the center. So it's important to keep the core strong, which is what we talked about. It's the back, it's the glutes, it's the inner thighs, to create stability. And when you have this strength, you have obviously less pain, you have a more aligned body. And this is where posture comes into play. If we have poor posture, our core can sometimes often get weak. And this is often because the muscles become imbalanced, or even the bones are no longer aligned. Now, they're two big topics, actually. Which comes first? The bones not being aligned, the muscles not being balanced. This is dependent on everyone's body, okay, and their individual situation, injury, daily habits, all of that. Another good analogy to think about the body when you're thinking about posture is the analogy of a tent. So, to keep a tent firm and tight, you need the right pegs and poles in the right places, because you need to prop up, the fabric so that it's taut, usually. And we can think about the pegs and the the poles as like our bones. And, the fabric is kind of like our muscles. So if we take out a peg or take out a pole or have a pole on an angle, that one section of the tent is going to get a bit floppy, okay? So if you think about our body in that way, if one part of the body is out of alignment, or the bones, then one section of the muscles may be tighter on one side and floppier on another, for example. So to keep good posture, we really need balanced muscles around the body, front, back, sides. And it's not always the case, obviously, sometimes from injury. But so the muscles sometimes can take over. Some can take over others. So, for example, if you have some weaker muscles, other muscles may be doing the job for those weaker muscles. And so they may become overloaded. They may become stressed, really. So if you think about, any team, if a teammate doesn't pull their weight, others have to take the load. And, that creates tension. So the muscles are just the same. The goal for our body is to have a strong and flexible body. When we start to strengthen the muscles around joints, that's when we help to reduce pain. Strength around the joints is usually happens with what we call stabilizing muscles. So I'll go into a little bit about the differences in Pilates and other exercises. This is a good time to mention it. the Pilates exercises do focus on these small stabilizing muscles. So the muscles that hold the bones together at a joint, for example, in your shoulder, are the rotator cuff muscles, and in the pelvis, which hold your hips and your back, lower back, all in place. One of the muscles is your transverse abdominal muscle, the corset muscle, which we spoke about. So just to give you a little bit of information on these stabilizing muscles, they don't actually move the body. These little muscles, just think of their job like they're holding, the fort. They're just holding it together. They're not actually moving. And the opposite to that are the mobilizing muscles, so your bigger muscles, ones that actually move the body, like, for example, your legs, your quads, or your biceps in your arm. They bend the arm. Now, many other forms of exercises focus on these bigger muscles. Pilates, we do also use the big muscles, but as I mentioned, we use the little ones as well. And the reason we use the small muscles is because we focus on the posture. So when we're doing an exercise, we make sure that you're in good alignment before you do the exercise. And to hold you in good alignment requires the use of these little muscles. So we place importance on these muscles during the exercises. For example, we keep the shoulders in good alignment, so we need to keep the shoulder stabilizing muscles working. We keep the work coming from the center, so we use the transverse abdominal muscle. We keep the pelvis steady when needed. So all of these little muscles help to prevent injury, or keeping them strong, help to prevent injury, and also they are vital when we're rehabilitating from injury. And I know Mary, one of my followers, she's just had some spinal surgery, and I know that it's important to make sure these deep muscles are working and rehabilitated again. So things like in the lower back, we call these stabilizing muscles multifidus, and there are specific exercises you can do to keep them strong. So talking about the different exercises, just switching a little here, a lot of my followers have asked to talk about the difference in Pilates and yoga. Now, I've done a great blog on this topic. You can check out my blog at ePilatesonline.com. I explain all the details there. So I'll continue on with another couple of questions. And if you do want to know the details and differences between Pilates and yoga, check out the blog. So another question from one of my readers was how to stay motivated when exercising at home or without a workout buddy. So firstly, I think, and this is a big one for many people. Well, we're heading to break, guys, so we'll cover that topic when we return. Thank you.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Come heal yourself. What is healing? Healing is nothing but connecting with your all-knowing higher self that already has solutions to all your problems and is always there to guide you. Through this show, we help you to connect with that you are and tap into that innate potential, you have to transform your life and fly high. Please join me, your host Monica Goyal, every Sunday 7 p.m. Pacific. Namaste.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Hi, and welcome back to Eros Evolution. I'm Emma Jory, and I'm hosting the show today for Martha Lee. I'm a Pilates Specialist, and we were just talking about staying motivated to exercise at home and without a workout buddy before we went to break. This is a question I get asked often, and I got asked that today by a few of my followers, Janine, Stefan, Karen, Naomi, and also Lisa. And some tips that I want to give you just from my personal experience, and I'm certainly not perfect. I have to really, work hard at this myself. I love feeling good from exercise, but I don't always love exercise. I'm not jumping up and down to say I want to go to the gym, but I know I need to, so I do it. So on that note, firstly, I think the key is to find something that you enjoy. So it's not a chore, and you're exercising because you really feel like you want to, not because you have to. That way, you're going to probably stick at it for a lot longer, and you're probably going to be have more like a higher chance of achieving your goals that you set yourself. I think that exercise is like food, and one of my followers, Val, was asking about obesity. It's on the rise, and she wanted me to talk about that. I'm skipping a little bit from motivation to food here, but exercise is like food. It's so individual, and I'm studying health coaching this year, actually, and we call this topic bio-individuality. So an analogy to use or a phrase to use is one man's meat is another person's poison. And this goes for both exercise and food. What is great for you is not great for me necessarily. It's so important that you find what's right for you. And there are so many different forms of exercise out there. And one of my readers actually also asked that question, how do I know what to choose? Claudia, I think. There's so many different recommendations. Tai Chi, yoga, kickboxing. The list goes on and on. So you have to do what resonates with you and listen to your own body. And talking about that topic of obesity on the rise, then, people are not actually listening to themselves. Often, they need to tap into their own intuition a little bit more with their eating because there are so many different diets out there and, recommendations for food. It's something that's very individual. So going back to the exercise and what motivates you, you've got to choose what suits you. And a good way of doing that is to tap into your inner child, I think. Try and remember what you enjoyed as a child. And if you don't know, go and try new things. Go and try a dance class, try a Pilates class, and keep trying something until you find something trying some things until you find something that resonates with you. And, it doesn't have to be forever. So just, keep testing it. I personally love walking at dusk. At the moment, I feel a real urge to go outside when it's that time of a night. And personally, I think it came from growing up as a child where I had horses, and I used to go out horse riding until, I couldn't anymore of an evening when the sun was going down, and I'd come back home and, hose the horses down and put them in the paddock. And I think that feeling of going out at night, at dusk, that longing comes from that feeling as a child. So you really tap into that. I think that will help. My second piece of advice to stay motivated is to do something long enough to feel the benefits you get. So too often people will give up too soon. I actually am driven by that. I know how my body feels, how good it feels, and when it's at optimal kind of level. And so I'm always wanting to still continue to achieve that. So when, if I don't work out for a week or I don't do any exercise for a week, I know that it's slipping, I'm getting weaker, I'm not feeling as good, some pain starts to set in. So I want to always keep that level. I think just also make sure that it's not a chore. So small sessions are great. You don't have to allocate an hour. 10 minutes is fine, as long as you move. And the last point is make sure you schedule it. So if it's not scheduled, it's probably not going to happen. That's a big tip. I'm conscious of our time, so I'm going to move a little bit quicker because I did want to cover about postnatal Pilates. Now, this is a huge topic. I've had a lot of my readers write in about this. Jackie, Lydia, Claudia, many of them. And a lot of people ask me, how do they get their tummy back after childbirth, and why it's important to do specific postnatal exercise and not rush back to normal exercise. So if you think the body's gone through a lot of trauma while pregnant and during labor, the body is totally changed, and it needs to have time to bounce back from this. It's important to honor this in your body and not rush back to full-on exercise, because it can only sometimes make it worse. So if you're trying to get your tummy back and you've kind of done the wrong things straight after childbirth, it's going to be even harder to get your tummy back. So I am super passionate about this area, and so I'm creating an online program actually, which is helping a lot of mums out there. I've got a few ladies already going through it as my little testers. I've already helped so many women get their separation back if they've had separation of the abdominal wall. And one of my clients actually, she had 4-finger separation, and she was told she had to get surgery on that separation. So we worked together only 1 or 2 times a week, sometimes it varied. And within 5.5 weeks, we got that separation back to 1.5 fingers. So if you're out there and you're not sure what I'm talking about, sometimes during childbirth or during labor and pregnancy, the front tummy muscles will split apart. This can be hereditary as well. It doesn't have to be because of pregnancy. It can happen sometimes even for men. And it creates, an imbalance, obviously, in the body. So it's important to get that back. And if that's happened to you, you can get it back. So it's important to know you can heal your body. So, it's important to rehabilitate the body from the inside out after childbirth. Another one of my clients, she rushed back into her normal exercise routine with the separation of the abdominal wall, and it never did close. Now she's pregnant again, and she already has some separation. So it's really important that you get the body back as soon as you can. Okay, and there's no rush. You don't have to hurry to begin exercise, but you do want to start to rehabilitate your body in the right way. So if you do want any information about this online program I'm creating, you can go to my website and sign up for that. There's a special sign-up box for the postnatal program details. And I know we only have a few minutes left, so I just want to make sure I wrap up today's program with, some takeaways for you. We talked a lot about posture, and one of the key things that I could help you with today over the phone or the radio was to connect your lower tummy the right way by thinking of drawing it in a little, the muscles around your waist, thinking about them like a corset. And if you're sitting up tall, standing up tall, that's obviously going to help you immensely. Always think of your energy going up. We all too often we collapse and we let our energy go down. So the more you can think of pulling your body up, imagine you're being pulled up by the crown of the head. I'm pulling you up by the top of the head to the ceiling, and that will give you length and decompress your spine. We talked a lot about injuries, so my key one here, takeaway, is if you don't move it, you lose it. You've got to keep moving. I can talk for a long time on this topic. I wish we had more time. It's important to think positively. Your body can heal, and what's happening now is just for now, and it doesn't have to be forever. Staying motivated, make sure that you find what you like. Don't force a square peg into a round hole, and a little bit is better than nothing. So remember that. If you want to try out a few little bits of Pilates for free, I have a 6-day body toning series, which is just 5 and 10 minute videos that you can do in your own home. You can go to my website and sign up for that, which is a great little introduction to Pilates. If you only have time for a few minutes a day, that's a great option for you. I talked about bio-individuality, which may be a new concept for some of you. One man's meat is another person's poison. And this can be related to food and also exercise. We didn't get to talk a lot about food, and that's a whole nother topic. I'm studying health coaching, so I've got lots of information to share on that. But one tip I will give you is cut out the junk food, cut out processed food, and think about, is what you're eating what your grandmother would have eaten? That's a huge one. We really have come a long way with food, and there's a lot more processed food, and come a long way in a negative way. I mean, there's more processed food out there, so stay away from that is the biggest tip. If you want to get some this is us. So if you do want to hear more from me and catch up, please go to my website, ePilatesonline.com. Check out my blog, and thank you so much for listening. The time went faster than I thought. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.